Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. For those of you in person and also for those who are watching us live streaming, I will ask our board secretary to establish a quorum, take a roll, and establish a quorum. Yeah.
Thank you. President Craighead?
Here.
Member Benitez?
Here.
Member Lopez?
Present.
Member Miller?
Here.
Member Otto?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And now I will ask our student representative, Corey Umamoto, to lead us in the pledge. Thank you, Corey.
It's the American flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board has been meeting in closed session today regarding matters listed on the agenda. The board discussed all matters listed. The board took reportable action on the following items. On item 3.2, the board voted 5-0 to approve a final settlement agreement and general release for the OAH case listed on the agenda. On item 3.3, the board voted 5-0 to approve settlement agreement in case number 21STCCV2616 listed on the agenda. So now we are at adoption of the agenda. Yumi, I believe you have something for that.
Yes, we'd like to request some modifications on item 14.7, the purchasing and contracts report, which is part of consent calendar A. We're requesting to pull item number 27. And for item number 34, replace the word police with school safety. So the item will read award bid number 052425 for the purchase of school safety vehicles.
Thank you. So we need a motion to
Move to approve agenda as amended.
Second.
any discussion? I'll have our board secretary take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
And Member Miller?
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, now we can welcome and I'll introduce Corey Yamamoto from CAMS, I believe, if that's correct. And we are anxious to hear from you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Okay, good evening. My name is Corey Umamoto, and I proudly serve as the California Academy of Mathematics and Science Associated Student Body President. I first wanted to announce that the new distinguish that CAMS has obtained, which is us being named a Blue Ribbon School, which is a huge accomplishment that we're all super proud of. And then just a couple updates from CAMS. So starting off the year, we've started with a lot of events. Our first plan of action was to elect our new freshman ASB and class board officers. So we successfully hosted an election and were able to get them installed into their positions and get them used to what life is like at CAMS. And being an ASB for the past 3-4 years now, I've noticed all of the events that have occurred and made it my biggest goal this year to introduce new events and to reignite that excitement that students have when they can look forward to an ASB event. So with that, and after sharing that sentiment to ASB as a whole, we've been able to quickly come up with new events to share with the school. So our first one was our mascot reveal ceremony, where we introduced and welcomed the class of 2028 Green Dinos. And throughout the first couple weeks at school, the freshmen had the opportunity to nominate and vote on their class color and mascot. So that was a way to build up anticipation and excitement when revealing that to them. We also introduced a new Senior Buddies program where we are pairing up seniors with freshmen to help provide the freshmen with a support system with someone who has been at the school and been there for a couple years now to help them get comfortable with what life is like at CAMS. We recently hosted our brand new fall social event that we hope to make an annual event. And this event, while geared to the entire school, we made it our ultimate goal to help acclimate the new freshmen, allow them to have an opportunity to bond with people beyond their class, so other freshmen as well as the upperclassmen. And we partnered with Link Crew to host different games there. We also handed out free shaved ice, and we had prizes that the different participants could win. Recently, we successfully hosted our Fall Club Rush. We had 79 clubs, interest groups, and sports participate as booths there where they were able to successfully recruit new members. We also recently closed our mural design contest where CAMS students had the opportunity to design a mural for one of our school's buildings, and the different people at CAMS were able to submit these designs to hopefully have their artwork presented on a mural at CAMS. So we received 13 submissions for that. And currently, we are in the midst of our fall games, which is a week-long school-wide sporting event competition that is being held at lunch. Yesterday, we had volleyball, and today we had basketball, and we have more sports for the coming weeks for our classes to compete in. As for our athletics, our girls volleyball team is doing great so far with the new season starting and are on track to defend their CIF championship title. We also passed a resolution for recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month. And to recognize this, ASB has partnered with two of our cultural clubs, including Mecha and Muévete, where in the coming weeks, they will be hosting a rally with different performances. And looking into the future events that our ASB will be hosting, we have our largest event of the year, Homecoming Taste of CAMS, which is an opportunity for our clubs to fundraise, as well as we have different performances from the students and our dance team and all of our clubs at CAMS. And we also have Red Ribbon Week coming up and our highly anticipated Fall Spirit Rally. But thank you, and that concludes my report from CAMS.
Wow. Don't sit down yet, sir. There's a Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Aztlán at CAMS. There's a Mecha at CAMS?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's so cool to hear. So I just wanted to highlight, you mentioned Link Crew. Mr. Samuels actually, in his board presentation this morning at our workshop, talked about how well liked everything that goes with Link Crew is, particularly for our transitioning ninth graders, right? And then, again, the context here is given where CAMS is situated. Could you talk a little bit more about Link Crew? Because we did have a presentation this morning that referenced how important this is for our ninth graders and our sixth graders transitioning from elementary school, the web program, right, Mr. Samuels? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, so the special thing about CAMS is we pull from a lot of different schools and school districts. So I can reflect on my own experience. I was one of two students who came from a small private school, so I didn't really know too many people going into CAMS, and this was my first time shifting to a new school. So that's why Link Crew really had a prominent impact on my experience entering CAMS. And Link Crew is our juniors and seniors who make it their goal to help welcome the new freshmen.
Awesome.
So we've had Link Crew help at our freshman orientation and also help with the planning of fall social to help get the freshmen feel welcomed and feel their sense of belonging at CAMS.
Beautiful. Are you sure you didn't get
Right.
talking points from Mr. Samuels?
Say,
this morning?
Mr. Samuels, how much did you have to pay this guy?
Thank you so much. That's awesome to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Corey, thank you for being here. Would you like to acknowledge anyone in the audience as being here to support you? Well, we all support you, and towards that end, we're going to invite you up so we can take a picture. And I just want to remind people, Corey is one of our top 5 finalists for student board member, and he's fabulous. We all know that. Okay, come on up, Corey.
You know what? I do have a question. What are your plans for after high school?
After high school, I plan on enrolling in a university. I'm still looking to decide where exactly I want to apply to and where I want to attend, but I'm currently working on all the applications for that as of now.
And I promise to have your Common App letter done by the
Thank you
end
so
of the
much.
month.
I really appreciate
I told you
it.
I would meet the deadline.
Thank you.
I wasn't going to bring up his plans for next year because it seemed kind of early, but it's already October, so time flies. Okay, now I will direct our attention to the screen.
My name is Paul Tran. I'm the 2024-2025 Teacher of the Year. I work at Renaissance High School of the Arts in downtown Long Beach, and I teach English and film production. This is my 15th year of teaching. I started teaching at a charter school in South Los Angeles, and I taught English in the city of Alameda. And this is my 10th year at Renaissance and my 10th year with Long Beach Unified. I'm so happy and so proud to be named Teacher of the Year because I'm actually a LBUSD K-12 graduate, and I don't come from the fancy side of town. Like, I'm really proud to say I grew up in North Long Beach, and I think that's the story that I want to share is, you don't have to come from wealth or influence. And so I'm really just proud to be LBUSD product, and then to go all the way from kindergarten and to now be Teacher of the Year. It's just like, it's like mind-blowing. I'm just really happy to be back and to give back to my whole community. It's just such a fun job. There's so much freedom, there's so much time to be creative. The world is such an amazing place. The world is full of beauty and amazing creations and art and engineering. And our job as educators is really just to be a bridge for all the amazing things in the world and to bring it to the students.
Oh, that's so wonderful to see. I love hearing when our own students then become teachers in the district. That's wonderful. Okay, now is time for public testimony on items listed on the agenda, but
We don't have any.
But we don't have any anyone to speak on items listed on the agenda. But I see that we do have speakers for items not listed on the agenda. And first, I'd like to welcome up our former board member, Dr. Felton Williams.
Good evening. It's kind of odd being back in this position after all these years. But good evening, Board President Greg Head, Executive Staff, Superintendent Jill Baker. My name is Felton Williams, and I'm here to speak on a partnership that we attempted to establish with the district. Before I do that, I want to introduce Mr. James Savoy, who is a licensed contractor in the state of California. And it's through Mr. Savoy that we tried to develop this partnership. And before I get into my presentation, I want to just say congratulations to James Suarez, who's retiring after all these years. I don't know who you folks are going to have to do the work on the people that want to come in and put their charter schools in place with James leaving. But you're going to have to find a replacement for him. So James, congratulations. And I hope that didn't take up much of my 3 minutes. You can give that back to me. But in 2022, Mr. Savoy and I met with the superintendent to talk about a project that we wanted to, partnership that we wanted to develop with the district. Can you folks hear me okay? The partnership involved working with students to help the students develop skills in construction, primarily doing prefab work at one of our schools. And we selected Jordan High School for that project. And so we met with the superintendent, and I'm sorry, let me just go back real quick. You have a packet in front of you, and that packet is basically a chronology of events that transpired relative to the partnership that we were trying to establish. You have an Exhibit A and B, which details the partnership. It just basically talks about what we were proposing at that time. And that partnership, as I said, looked at getting students skilled in prefab construction and being able to market the prefab work to folks in the construction industry. It involved putting together prefab housing and getting students with developing the skills to do that. The second part of that was helping the students get prepared to sit for the state license in construction. And Mr. Savoy has been in the industry for a long time, and he basically was really wanting to see more kids of color in the construction industry with their construction license. So that was the genesis of our request, our proposal, and that was met with favor. And
Dr. Williams?
yes.
I just want to point out that the 3 minutes is
And
expired.
my 3 minutes is up.
That was that.
I didn't even get started. Did you charge me for the 3 minutes for saying hello to Suarez? Okay.
And it gives me no pleasure to tell you that your
All right.
time is up. But thank you, and then next we have Mr. Savoy.
My name is James Savoy. I yield my time to Dr. Williams.
Okay, here we go. So as we move through the chronology of events, we had the initial meeting with Dr. Baker as shown on Doc 1 on November 28th. And the response was received very favorably. And Dr. Baker directed Christy Kale to move forward with the request. Subsequently, we met with Mr. McBride at the facility, and we discussed this in detail with him, and he basically wanted to make sure that everything fit and that he would get back to us. On document 4, there was a decision made at that point that they could not facilitate the partnership because there was no pathway in the district for a partnership of this kind. I was a little concerned about that because we had the ACE program, and the ACE program was similar in scope to what we were proposing. So I had some initial concerns about why the district turned our partnership down. And basically, just moving forward, I subsequently read sometime later that the district had signed an MOU with the city of Long Beach City College, Cal State Long Beach, to develop a partnership in building low-cost housing. At that point, I came back and sent an email to Dr. Baker saying, could we have our proposal reconsidered? Because what's being proposed in the MOU was similar in scope to what we presented. And so basically, I did not get a response from Dr. Baker to my email. I sent a second email to Dr. Baker, basically saying this is a follow-up, and did not receive a response to that email either. And subsequently received a email from Dr. Conley at Cal State Long Beach that she would be interested in having us meet with her engineering people, the Dean of Engineering, to discuss affordable housing, in which we did. We met with the Dean and her team, and we outlined some situations where we could begin to set forth a partnership with Long Beach State. As we came back to consider that, I got 13 seconds, 11. We basically attempted to follow up, but in summary, my concern is I would like to have this partnership reconsidered. And basically, I think in terms of what we were proposing, that would be good for our students, it would be good for the district, and it would be good for the city. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have reports on superintendent advisory groups. We'll start with the business, budget, and policy development. Dr. Benitez.
Just two quick items, Madam Chair. At our next school board meeting, we'll be presented a draft revision to our current student school board member policy, board policy 9150. Just a couple of minor edits for your consideration and for us to consider action on at the next board meeting. We also got a quick update today regarding what will come down the pipeline code of conduct. A update to our conflict of interest code that we'll be receiving in our upcoming meetings regarding updating our code.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from instruction and student learning supports.
Yes, we don't have a report. We just briefly discussed future board presentations for English learners, but we will report out when we have them in the near future.
Thank you. And workforce development.
Yes, I'll be really brief. One point that I wanted to bring up was from the last board meeting where we were looking at the number of resignations to appointments, et cetera. I think it was Dr. Benitez in particular who asked, really, how do we define one is, what's the definition between resignation to a job abandonment, et cetera? So that's something that we're going to be adding to our breakdown of the employees, just so that everybody has a clear understanding of what those roles were. So we'll be going through and, like I said, just providing a firm definition so that you're aware for future meetings. And then also, I know that the team is working on a breakdown of the comparison of our hiring to transition numbers for this quarter. And so we should have that for the entire board by next meeting. That's my report.
Thank you. And student outcome-focused government.
We did a lot of that at the workshop this morning, and it was very, very well received, and the amount of information and what's going on was staggering, and very, very, very well presented and accepted, and we're looking forward to continuing to work on the student outcome-focused government program here at Long Beach and incorporating that into what it is that we do.
Thank you. We'll move to the consent calendar. Before we have a motion on that, just a reminder that from the approval and from the purchasing and contracts report, we're going to be pulling item number 27.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a couple of questions. On 14.6, actually, this one's a comment. On numbers 2 and 3, I'd just like to acknowledge Carver's PTA for donating $36,592.08 to Carver Elementary School. And I'd also like to acknowledge Coverly's Foundation for donating $25,146.02 to Coverly. I do have a couple of questions on 14.7, the agreement with Action Youth America. There's total of 19 agreements. What is a total in all for all 19 contracts?
Yeah, so AYA is one of our after-school providers through our RAP and ELOP program. So this contract proposal totals $2.9 million, and that's to provide the after-school services at the schools that are listed.
And then one other question, the contract with Gallagher Therapy for number 11 for $1,100,000 for the term of 7/1/24 to 6/30/25. So questions are, have the services started? Yes. And if so, why are we approving contracts? Why aren't we approving these contracts before? What would happen, I suppose, if in the event we didn't approve them?
Yes, so this is one of the contracts that should have gone when we talked about all of the other contracts for our services. And if we did not provide the contracts, then the students would not receive their service, occupational therapy and physical therapy.
Because I just think we've been approving contracts that are kind of backdated, so I'm just going to ask if we can put them on the agenda before services start, just so that we're not back approving contracts.
Just as a follow-up, can we provide maybe a little bit more background as to why we've been running into these scenarios, Dr. Sosa Valderrama?
So I don't have all the details now, but we do submit contracts throughout the summer. And depending, they have to go back and forth between the organization, our department, and then through contracts and getting signatures, negotiating certain pieces of them. And so without having more information, I'm imagining that somewhere in there is why there's the delay.
Ms. Takahashi, maybe could that be an item for discussion in our?
It is a renewal, yes.
In our superintendent advisory group meeting?
Sure, we could talk about the process.
Yeah.
That a
way,
contract
at least
goes
we
through
could provide
before
some context on the timelines of some of these contracts.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Any further discussion? Then I'll have our board secretary take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto? President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
And Member Miller?
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next, we have consent calendar B, item 15.1.
Move approval. Before you get started here, out of abundance of caution, I will recuse myself from consent calendar B, item 15, as I have a potential conflict of interest under state law.
I still move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Any further discussion? Then I'll ask our secretary to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
And Member Miller abstains, so that passes 4-0 with one abstention.
Thank you. We are now at report of board members, so we'll start with Mr. Miller.
Yes, I only have one item. I attended the kickoff for Sankofa Parent Village a couple of days ago over at Houghton Park. And I'll tell you what, obviously we've been doing this work for some time now when it comes to Black student achievement. And every year it's just getting bigger and better. And I just want to give a big shout out to all of the team. Tiffany was in attendance as well for all of their hard work. I think that the palpable experience that we want our parents and our students to feel when they come to one of our Black student achievement focused events is really coming to fruition from our first conversations. And so this was hands down the largest turnout. I mean, they were busting at the seams here. I think my most enjoyable piece from the event was actually seeing the childcare And what I mean by that is that these are parents who not only are present, but they're trusting us to watch their kids while they learn more about our district. And I mean, the child care perspective was overflowing. And so that means that, I mean, I think it was over almost a little bit shorter than 30 kids who showed up just to be in the child care piece. And so once again, I was just very, very appreciative of where we are. And so obviously there's plenty of room for us to go. But in the same token, I think that it was a great turnout. And I just wanted to give everyone who was involved in putting on I don't want to say yesterday's, but the other day's event, big kudos to you.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I wanted to give a quick update to my school community visits that I started 2 weeks ago and I announced at our last board meeting. My plan is to provide a summarized report after I finish visiting all of the schools, and then during my board report, give some highlights. But I'm wondering if there's a way, Dr. Baker, with our newly released board newsletter, to do some of that, utilizing that. Mr. Itzen, I just gave you props on it. Ms. Cano on our board newsletter. So just, I can't cover everything in a board report. So if there is a way to share a summary of my visits. In the meantime, want to really, really, really thank the school staff, and as importantly, the teachers, school staff, community members, students, and caregivers and parents that came out. So I've been at Edison, Renaissance, Stevenson, Oropesa, Chavez, Franklin today. I think we had about 40 people at my Franklin visit this morning. So big props to everyone that's made some time in the morning while they're either dropping off students and or staff right before the bell rings for visiting with me. I had a chance to attend Noche Latina at Renaissance this past Friday. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. Everyone from vendors to classic car show to ballet folklorico from Oropesa performing. Just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful event on Friday evening celebrating Latino culture, Latino Heritage Month. Can't understate my gratitude for the staff at Renaissance and for all the community members and volunteers that helped make that Friday night special. And then easy transition to Saturday, and I'm sure that my colleagues are going to speak to it and the superintendent's going to speak to it, our Latino Heritage Celebration at Cabrillo, district-wide celebration, inaugural event. I'll be short to allow superintendent and my colleagues to comment here. But in essence, a beautiful event with participation from multiple schools across our district, multiple community organizations, partners, and really combination resource fair as well, with many of our departments showing up in full force. So thank you to everyone. Thank you for everyone that came out. I'll just share my sentiments around these kinds of celebrations, and I mentioned this before, absolutely beautiful to celebrate Latino culture, Latino heritage, also as important to affirm the contributions that our communities have had and made to our country, and the essential role that Latinos, and not just immigrants, all Latinos, and folks that identify with Latino cultural communities, the role that we play in the fabric of making our district successful and our society, the rich society that we have. So thank you. Big props to all the organizers of that event, and to all the participants, and to everyone that came out to essentially launch our inaugural Latino Heritage Celebration.
Thank you. Mr. Otto?
Thanks, and I will follow up on that because I attended the Saturday morning meeting at Cabrillo, and it was extraordinary. And as we keep moving forward in recognizing the students and what they do, it was you could just feel the pride and the knowledge that these groups had, and we say giving student voice. We talk about that a lot. This time we gave them their feet as well, because there was a lot of dancing, there was a lot of special programs that were put on by different schools. In fact, I stayed until the very end because my former elementary school, Patrick Henry, had a group, as did Millikan High School, which is where I also attended, and I wanted to see what they did, and they were spectacular. I visited all the tables, and Central Cha was there, and it was just a great moment for us to do that as an inaugural celebration of Hispanic culture in our district and the contributions that they made. Remember, we have 60% of our students are Hispanic, and to make that forum available for people was very special. And I will just emphasize a little bit of what I reported on in my report earlier, and say that we did do this workshop this morning, and the workshop was not only full of information, but also it's on video, and in 3 to 5 days it will be available for anybody to watch. And I think you can learn a lot about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. And I encourage people to take the time to look at it, because it will give you a good eye or window into the way that we are approaching this new educational year. And I was very impressed by what happened this morning. So thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez.
I'll be brief, since I think some of us want to get out to the high schools for back-to-school night. So I attended the Sankofa Village celebration, the special ed family resource fair, the Jordan versus Poly football game, and the Latino Heritage event. And so I just want to express my gratitude for all of those who were involved in putting these events together, the volunteers, the senior staff here, the teachers, the counselors, the principals who attended these events, our coaches, administrators. Kudos to you all. You spent your Friday night, some of you Saturday morning, and then some of you Sunday afternoon at these events. So thank you. We are grateful for all that you're doing for our students, for our school community, and that'll wrap up my report.
Thank you. So prior to our district-wide event on Saturday, I attended the Latino Heritage event at Patrick Henry in the morning on Wednesday, and I just want to express how incredible it was when you do an event like that at the beginning of the school year. You have very, very little time to prepare, because you don't have staff during the summer. You don't have your volunteers, your parent volunteers during the summer. So I was very impressed with the way they were able to present this special event. They included Aztec dancers. They had the first grade dancers, third grade dancers, fifth grade dancers. It was amazing. I loved being a part of it, just the music and everything else. It was just like on Saturday with our district-wide event, so festive, and what a wonderful celebration of our culture. I also want to, echo the sentiment of my colleagues about expressing extreme thanks to our staff and everyone who managed to pull off a wonderful event. The stage was set and the students delivered. There were performances all day long. We had performers in all really representing all different kinds of countries, and it wasn't just the performers, but I ran into several of our staff members that were not there in a capacity of working, but in a capacity of having their family with them, kids in wagons, that type of thing. And so it was really fun to see staff members relaxed, enjoying themselves with their families, getting to see their little kids. That was a bonus. I also want to say that the Cabrillo staff took full advantage of that event happening at their school. Thank you to Cabrillo for hosting, but also they used it as the senior check-in day. So the seniors were able to come in, do their grad check, maybe purchase yearbooks, that kind of thing, and then their parents could hang out and enjoy food, music, dancing, everything else. Really, such a festive event. That was wonderful. Let's see, I also want to mention that the City of Lakewood does an occasional celebration. They call it Lakewood Celebrates, and they have different themes. And the theme this last week was, in part, welcoming new employees to the City of Lakewood, and that includes new principals that now work at Lakewood Schools. And so they welcomed Beth Cohen, who is now at MacArthur, Jenny Salazar, who is now at Riley, and Nicole Reyes, who is now at Cleveland. And so they were there in attendance to be welcomed by the City of Lakewood. I want to thank our presenters this morning. We had a workshop on the monitoring kickoff for the year, and I know that took a great effort. It was, we heard from a lot of staff, and so thank you. That was, it made for quite a morning. It may seem like it's a brief meeting tonight, which it is, but we had a workshop this morning from 9 until 12:30. It's also high school back to school night, so this allows us, this kind of truncated schedule allows us to participate in high school back to school night. And so I will turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Baker.
And I will be brief as well. A couple of things to amplify and just to announce. So just Corey spoke of CAMS being recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School, which is a huge accomplishment for us as a district. So just want to amplify that. Cheryl Cornejo, the principal, and one staff member will be heading to Washington, D.C. to be recognized for the school in early November. Also just want to thank the Assistance League following the event that was held at Muir that was providing a uniform for every student at Muir. They have also measured 3,600 students for uniforms already this school year en route to providing more than 10,000 uniforms for our students. So thank you to the Assistance League. A reminder that on November 1st, we have our Pupil Free Day, which is a professional learning day for staff. And so for families to make alternate arrangements, because teachers and other staff will be in learning sessions, but students will not be in school. And then lastly, just celebrating our Latino Heritage Celebration, which included more than 600 attendees in the inaugural celebration. So a wonderful day, and it has already been said, but I'd like to also thank teachers and other supporters of students who performed, because to get to that point, it takes a lot of love from community members, many volunteers who were at school sites preparing students, and some of our teachers and other staff who support them. So with that in mind, happy back to school night in our high schools. Thank you.
Thank you. I will also wish our colleague, Mr. Otto, a happy birthday. And then he shares a birthday with Jimmy Carter, who is 100 years old today. And then also our community that observes Rosh Hashanah. So I'd like to acknowledge that. But this concludes the business of tonight's meeting, so if there's no objection, we will adjourn in record time.